y'all, Stephanie with Midlands Mom Life. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video for y'all on things that I wish I knew when I first became a mom. So I am a mom of 4 right now. I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newly 10-month-old. Keep getting her age wrong. She just turned 10 months. But I became a mom for the first time as a foster mom to a little boy who was 15 months old. And then after that, we had 2 little girls that were sisters that were 5 and like 16 months old when we had them. And then after that, we had our first biological child, which was Martin, my 4-year-old. So these tips really have a lot to do with my first time of becoming a mom. That included like pregnancy and nursing and all of these things. So when we first had Martin, things that I know I struggled with, that I wish I would have like known had I been able to go back and tell myself. So I hope these are encouraging to you if you are not a mom yet, or you're a new mom, or maybe you have like 8 kids and you're just watching this. Either way, I hope they're encouraging to you, and I'm going to share with you kind of my journey into motherhood, and some of them may apply to you and some of them may not. And these are in no particular order. They're just things that have been on my heart and my head as I've thought about the last like 4.5 years of being a mom, and just things I wish I knew. So the first thing is that nursing might be hard. So I have nursed all 3 of my biological children, and when I first had Martin, I had been using a midwife to try and have him at a birthing center, and I had read all these books about natural birth, and I had prepared myself for that, and the pain of birth and all of those things. I really thought I was ready, but I just thought nursing was easy. Like, it's natural. God designed our body to do it, so that will just happen. And everything that I had read about nursing was that women loved it, and it was this amazing bonding experience with your child, and you're giving them all these power nutrients and all this great stuff. I had Martin, and it didn't end up being at a birthing center. He had kind of a traumatic birth. That's a whole other story, but after 3 days, he finally came, and he was a little 5-pound baby. And in the hospital that I was at, I had 2 different lactation consultants come and see me to talk about nursing. And neither one of which were very encouraging about nursing. And he definitely, with his latch, didn't have a great latch. And it took us 3 weeks before he actually nursed to where I wasn't in pain and I wasn't having to do things and constantly change his latch. And that was so hard for me. I had not prepared myself for the idea that after the pain of birth and the pain of everything that you go through and recovering from birth, that there would also be pain in nursing. And that I might not be able to nurse, or that I might want to quit nursing and not do it at all. And I think we were about 2 weeks in. I'd even had a lactation consultant come to the home at this point, when I was like, Jason, I can't do this anymore. Like, I would cry, and I'm not a crier, but I was so frustrated. I was still in pain from recovering from birth, and now I'm in pain in another part of my body from trying to feed this baby. And because Martin was only 5 pounds, there was like this extra pressure to make sure he didn't lose any weight, that he only gained, and so I felt like I had to do it well, and I didn't know what I was doing, even though I had read stuff, and everything the lactation consultants were saying didn't really make sense to me, and it was just really, really hard. And I said, honey, I can't keep doing this. If he doesn't get this by a month, then I have to quit. Like, I can't do this to myself. And I felt so guilty about that, and looking back, like, honey, you were fine. Like, had he been on formula, that would not have been the worst thing in the world. Like, that would have been okay. He would still be an okay little boy today. But I was really hard on myself, and I didn't understand, I didn't have postpartum depression, but I didn't even go into kind of birth thinking about what would happen after birth and how I might feel. And so that added to it that I, felt guilty more than I think I normally would, because I had all these hormones going on, and I hadn't set up myself a great support system for that. And my mom had nursed, my sister-in-law had nursed, my sister had nursed their babies, and I thought it was just easy, and I thought that, it just happened, and I probably should have asked them more and been more aware of what I was getting myself into. And we did end up getting to nurse by about 3 weeks. He latched on okay, but it did take a really hard first 3 weeks, and I wish I would have prepared myself for that the way I prepared myself for birth. And on that, if I could tell myself something that I would not do, I would not be on mommy boards. The only one that I was a part of was like a La Leche League, which is for nursing Facebook group. But every time a mom would post on there her problem, and they were getting mastitis, and they were getting plugged ducts and all these things, I think, oh no, that's going to happen to me. Or everybody was getting lip ties. Oh no, my kid's going to have a lip tie. I mean, I was totally that person that like thought that any problem anybody else was going to have, it was going to happen to me. It would freak me out that it was going to happen, and I would worry about it, and it never happened, right? So I would not have followed that page. I've been able to tell myself something, which goes along with my tip of do not read mommy articles at all. It's okay to read some blogs if they're encouraging, but all of the like Huffington Post mommy articles, I just didn't need to read any of those. And I don't think most women do, because what a lot of those articles tend to do is show two sides of motherhood. And I think they make motherhood look like it's much more of a competition and much more of a judgmental zone than it really is. I know a lot of them are meant to be like, we should all rally around one another. Yet they tell these stories of when women haven't. And I had not experienced of any of those. I hadn't experienced mommy bullying or mom shaming. But when I was reading these articles, I started getting worried that I was going to, or I thought, oh wow, is somebody going to judge me for that? I would never even thought someone was going to judge me for that. But now I'm reading this article where apparently women get judged for that all the time, and now I'm concerned that I'm going to. So I would just totally avoid all of those mommy articles, no matter how catchy the title is, the 5 things you should never do, the 10 things you should definitely do, the 4 things you should buy, the whatever. I would just avoid them altogether. And then I would also, if I could go back and tell myself anything becoming a mom, it would be to not rush yourself. I think there's a lot of pressure when you become a mom to, hey, don't forget about yourself. Don't forget about your husband. Make yourself a priority. Make your husband a priority. And you're like, I have all of these supposed priorities, right? But then I also have this crying baby who wants to nurse all night long, and I'm supposed to give my husband attention, and I'm supposed to find the time to get makeup on, and I'm supposed to be working on getting my body back. And it's overwhelming, and you're like, what? And I would say, take it as it comes. As it feels natural to you to want to get makeup on again, put your makeup on. As it feels more natural to you to feel like you can put the baby down and spend time with your husband, then do that. But just because somebody else does it 2 months postpartum and somebody else has already been on vacation away from their baby by the time they're a year old, doesn't mean that you have to. Your marriage is not going to get ruined over a year of having a baby. So yes, marriage should be more important than your children. I absolutely believe my husband comes before my kids. But there are seasons to us both understanding what parenting is like, and babies are needy. They are just needy. I know different babies have different varying of needs, and so sometimes some babies you can lay in the crib easier and they sleep through the night easier, and some babies don't, and whatever. When Martin was, like 4 days old, we had our 1-year anniversary, and we left him with a sitter. One of our dear friends from church, Miss April, she watched Martin for like 2 hours so we could go to Outback Steakhouse and celebrate our anniversary. And I had no problem leaving him, and it felt totally fine, and I trusted her, and I pumped a little bottle for him, and we went and had a great steak dinner, and that was wonderful. Come Elliot, our 3rd child, I think he was a few months old before we felt like we could really leave him, and he would be good with a sitter, and we could go off and enjoy a date where we didn't have to take him. So there's just seasons to those things, and there's just different kids, and I think when you feel this immense pressure to do it all right away, it just can get overwhelming and kind of ruin your first year. I had a great first year with Martin, don't get me wrong, but I definitely think it could have been better too had I known that there wasn't a rush on any of those things. Especially with Martin, my rush was getting my body back. And again, I think this was from reading a lot of blogs, and at the time I was on Pinterest watching a lot of like fashion blogs and things to wear because I was so afraid of looking like a mom. And I ended up having to delete Pinterest during Martin's first year of life for a while because I was so influenced by all the right clothes and looking super cute somehow and not looking like a mom and keeping up with all these things, and it just wasn't good for me. So I lost all of the weight with Martin by 3.5 months. And with Elliot, I didn't lose it until after I was pregnant with Lucy, and was losing the Lucy pregnancy weight. So, well, no, so that's not even correct exactly. So I had 5 pounds left over from Elliot when I got pregnant with Lucy, and I've now lost all the Lucy weight, and I still have those 5 pounds. So my point is it takes time, and be patient with your body, especially that first year, and especially if you're nursing. I know for some women, when you nurse a baby, you lose all that weight right away, and it just all drops off, and that's glorious. And for some of us, our bodies are like, I'm going to keep those pounds around because I want to make sure I have enough fat to give that baby milk. So, and you're eating like crazy because you're starving. I know I'm more hungry nursing than I am when I'm pregnant. So I would give myself patience with those things. I would say, hey, it's okay. It'll come. It might not happen until your child is 5, but it will still happen. There's still time for that to happen. Give yourself that first year to get to know your baby, to get to know yourself as a mom. If you're a first-time mom, you just became a whole new person when you had that child. get to know your mothering rhythms, and really, I know everybody says that, but like, go with your instincts as a mother. If it is your instinct that you're fine with, you know, laying that baby down in a crib in their room and you sleep better with not having the baby in your room, I know that's some people, then that's what you need to do. And if you're the mom that feels like you have to have that baby really, really close to be able to hear their breathing, then that's what you need to do. And you don't need to follow what Dr. Sears or the Cry It Out people or whoever they are tell you to do. You know what you need to do for that child, and it really may be different for each kid, because honestly, getting Martin to sleep was different than it is trying to get Lucy to sleep. That was different than George. That was different than Elliot. So they're all different, and I really learned to give myself patience in the first year of having them. Lucy will be 1 in a little over a month and a half, and I can already continue to feel myself kind of coming back to Stephanie as we're approaching that first year, and she's getting more independent. It's like, okay, yeah, hey, I remember this girl. But it sometimes takes a year to get back to that. You've had a whole lot. You've grown a baby. You've birthed a baby, which is a whole experience, whether good or bad. It takes a little while. Give yourself some patience to want to flirt with your husband. Give yourself some patience to want to organize something or take on a new project or take on a hobby. Like, give yourself that first year. What else do I have here on my list? And I know one that not everybody's going to agree with, but for me, if I could tell myself anything going into my birth with Martin, it's that the pain of childbirth isn't that bad. You're more afraid of it than it really is that bad. I was really afraid of the pain with Martin, and a lot of that had to do with being in the hospital and other things that were going on. But when I had Lucy, you can ask Jason, the whole time I was saying, and I was in pain. It was definitely as painful, but I was saying, this isn't as bad as I thought. This isn't as bad as I thought. I can do this. This isn't as bad as I thought. So I would even be careful with following people that are super dramatic in what they're telling you things are like. I mean, I've heard people that, you know, and everybody has a different pain tolerance too. So know that. And I had no idea what my pain tolerance was going into birth with my kids, because I've never broken bones or anything. But just know that every experience that everybody has is going to be different. Some people love nursing, some people hate nursing. Some people have their babies in an 1.5 hour labor. Some of us take like 36 hours of labor. Some babies come out in one push. Mine have all come out in like 3 hours of pushing, so, or more. So, you know, everybody is just different. So just take that into account, and don't be afraid of somebody else's experience, because yours is going to be different. I think those are all the tips I have. I could go back and talk to myself. I would love to know what you guys, if you're already a mom, what you would tell yourself as a first-time mom. If you could go back and tell yourself something, what would you tell yourself to do differently, or just to know? What would you do? So leave it down in the comments down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you have a wonderful day.